Hello everybody, it's vanburman here and welcome to Mass Effect Andromeda. I pre-purchased the game quite a while ago and been playing it a little bit, but I'm also in the middle of playing Zelda as well and obviously completing Horizon. So it's come at a bit of a weird time while I am still trying to do Zelda itself, which is, by the way, a really good game. And I feel that this is a bit of a conclusion right now, before I've even started going into the gritty details. But I feel like Mass Effect sort of came out at the wrong sort of time, to be honest, considering everything else that has come out recently. It sort of probably should have been pushed back a month or two, in my opinion. But it is out, and I've had some really mixed feelings about Mass Effect Andromeda. I should say I'm roughly about 5 or 6 hours in. All the gameplay you're going to see now I've recorded was from sort of early on in the game. There's not really any spoilers here, it's all in the first sort of proper main mission after the tutorial level. So there's not much in terms of story and stuff, it's all stuff you would see if you played it for a couple of hours anyway. So nothing major in there, just wanted to show off, you know, a bit of the graphics, gameplay mechanics, you know, that's all the general stuff. My biggest criticism that I have with this game is I don't feel like it's come on very far from Mass Effect 3. Graphically, I don't really see, you know, I don't really see a massive improvement. It does still have the Mass Effect feel, but after being so long, you would expect, you know, you'd expect a bit more in terms of the progression. Now, we're going to get to an elephant in the room, or we will do in a second, I think, if I'm right in where we are in the video, when it zooms in on her face. But yeah, so one of the things that people have been criticising is the animations on the faces, you know, the overexpression. So this is it, yeah, this is one of the bits. She's just there moving her mouth up and down, wiggling her eyes and eyebrows for no reason. Yeah, it's all a bit comical. My guy seems to remind me quite a bit of Jim Carrey. You know, he's got all these mad facial expressions going off all the time, and people sort of walk funny. Animations are a bit bizarre, very unnatural. So I don't know. There's just something about the eyes that doesn't seem right, especially on a few of the characters. They're very sort of plastic faced, so to speak, rather than realistic looking. Obviously, you know, you sort of get away with it a little bit with the aliens because you don't really know how alien species would react or move or anything like that. But in terms of the human expressions, we're quite well versed in how that works. Now, since we are in a combat part of the video, I will just quickly talk about that. I'm not a massive fan of how they've adapted the combat from the previous Mass Effect games. Like, they've tried to give you more verticality with the booster packs, and, you know, dodging with the sort of like it's like a dodge, but you're invisible / invulnerable while you do it. I'm not really sure, maybe that's just my particular character. But the controls are still very stiff and, you know, tight in over the shoulder style of gameplay, which obviously has been fine for the previous Mass Effects, but now the levels and enemies and environments are more designed around you trying to use this jetpack and you know, dodge ability, rather, you know, and as well as using the cover-based system. So it's like they're not really sure what they want to be. You know, it's like, do you want to be a Doom, or do you want to be you know, a Gears of War in effect, should I say? So I'm not, yeah, I don't know, I'm not massively keen on it. I prefer how it was done in the previous games, i.e. the more Gears of War themed style, where it's, you know, running from cover to cover and taking enemies out that way. But, you know, it is what it is. People like various different things. Some of the other stuff that annoys me as well is the I've been driving around in the Nomad quite a bit, which is like the all-terrain vehicle, and you run over these crab-like creatures and it doesn't kill them, it does no damage to them at all, and that sort of stuff, it rubs me up the wrong way, I guess. You know, it's meant to be a AAA game, but I feel like there's lots of stuff and mechanics missing from it that really shouldn't be overlooked. I don't know. Yeah, it's bemusing, really, to be honest. And then moving on, I would want to talk about the UI as well, which you've seen quite a bit of already. But it feels very dated. It feels, even pre-Mass Effect 3 in a sense, which I'm not keen on. It cheapens it for me slightly. It should be more sleek, more streamlined. And this scan system is absolutely horrendous, by the way. It looks bad. It feels bad. I can't really say anything good about it, if I'm totally honest. Then we move on to... Well, no, I've got that out of the way. We've got some puzzles here, which I guess is quite nice. It's basically just Sudoku, which I didn't realise what I was doing at this point, by the way. So, I thought it was... I didn't read the bit at the bottom. So I thought it was A just to, like, change the icons. But it turns out that A submits the answer. So in the end, yeah, I didn't do particularly well. And then we had to have a fight, which is okay. I don't mind shooting things with my shotgun. A lot of the... I mean, we've met this group of, ancient alien civilization. Yes, I mean, we have heard all that before. Called the Remnants, which is very vague, I guess. And it seems, well, in many ways very similar to, the stylistic choices of the Protheans and how, they were depicted in many ways. We've now got more platforming elements due to the, the booster pack and all that sort of stuff, which, I could take it or leave it. I'm not really massively keen on that. That might be something that you feel as though expands the game or whatnot. You're going to have to watch this whole series of me doing the Sudoku play out because, I don't know. It's not a particularly long bit, but I just thought I would show it off. And actually, no, I didn't think I'd show it off. I just recorded the last fight. I was using Shadow Play. Oh, actually, now while we're on that subject, that brings me to a very interesting matter. Now, it's not just me. I mean, I've searched online and had a look and seen what other people have been saying about it, but they're getting much the same issue. I've been having some DirectX issues with my graphics card. Now, a couple of things, I run a setup with two 780s in SLI, which I thought that could be an issue. I mean, you never know. A lot of games don't come out with SLI support. You would expect modern games to, but some do not. So I just disabled SLI. I've tried lots of different things, reinstalled software, done all the basic stuff, and reinstalling the new game driver did help things for a bit, but once again I'm getting the DirectX issues as well. DirectX 11 obviously. I don't know if DirectX 12 is having the same issue, but I have seen other people have reported that their, for example, 1080s have been having that issue, so I'm presuming it's not just a DirectX 11 issue because 1080s will obviously be rolling with DirectX 12. So it's just been really annoying. I had about 5 or 6, proper crashes where I actually had to go into the task manager and in the process to get out of the particular game. And it does kill the flow. It kills the enjoyment. Luckily, I didn't lose too much progress, as it turns out. They were at sort of the right time. I think the most I lost was about 5 minutes. Which is okay. You sometimes get these issues, but it just further adds to my frustration with this game. The booster pack is also, this thing is extremely, unresponsive in many ways. It doesn't quite work the way you want it to. A little boost is like a tiny jump. It's difficult to differentiate between a full boost to get up an object or to do a hop over. But one of the things in fairness, one of the things it does give you, and I can see the reason why they've included it, is situations like this. If I wanted to, I could run up the top of that pillar, jump off, boost up, and then use the booster to keep me in the air and slows time down a little bit to get a few shots off, potentially to, bait people out of cover and whatnot. So that sort of stuff, yeah, I can appreciate that. If you're happy with playing that sort of way, then it might be fine for you. But I've not really enjoyed it too much. I feel like I've been bashing on the game too much. My first impression is I had a lot more hopes for it than what we've been given so far. See, the things like here with the remains as well. The remains will spawn where the enemies died. So even if the enemy is died and then been blasted off 10 meters down the path, the remains will still be where they don't cling to the body. They're sort of like they have their own placeholder as and when the enemy dies. So you can see there's two there next to each other, but only one enemy. Similar sort of thing. which is it's not really an issue. It's just an aesthetic thing that, you know, is annoying. The story so far I've been actually quite enjoying. I'm still fairly early on in it, but there's a lot of intrigue, definitely, and I am interested to see how the story progresses. So all that is good from that standpoint of things. Seems to be a lot of side missions and that sort of stuff. So far they've been more than adequate in terms of, you know, not just being fetch quests, although it looks like there is design for a couple of them coming up. And yeah, I don't know. The problem is, and I said this at the start, it's come out at really the wrong time. You know, we've got your Horizon Zero Dawn and Zelda, and quite frankly, I know some people might say you can't compare those two, but they are both grand adventure, role-playing game elements, you know, starter games all coming out at the same sort of time, and both have been magnificently done. So you're going to compare this to its rivals, and you would say that, you know, they're the closest rivals, and they've come out in a far better state than what Mass Effect has. I spoke to one of my friends who's got it on the PlayStation 4 Pro. He said he's not had any crashes or anything like that from a console perspective. So perhaps maybe it does run a bit better on consoles, and, you know, these issues are purely confined to the PC side of things. But it's not something I would necessarily mark it down on. It seems to be like it could be an easy fix with a patch or something later on down the line. It's just a lot of the core mechanics that I'm not particularly keen on. So take the, you know, computer issues with a pinch of salt, in my opinion. And if you are going to get it on PC and you do decide it's something you want to play, first of all, probably finish off playing Horizon or Zelda or whatever it is you're doing at the minute if you're into those sort of games. And then maybe, you know, move on to this in a couple of months when you can get it for a little bit cheaper than what it came out as, which, by the way, is an extortionate price. And yeah, hopefully then, you know, it'll be patched a few times and we'll have some of these issues finished. And might even have some of the animations a little bit more tightened up. Moving on, that also brings me to, I should mention this earlier, the voice acting is so-so. Take it or leave it. Some people are really good in there, and others have done a less than stellar job. I just noticed there his skin was showing through on his armour. Things like graphical glitches and things like that are just, I expect better from BioWare. Maybe I hold them up to too high a standard, but there you go. So the multiplayer in this game is trash. It's just one of those that's added for presumably microtransaction purposes. They've tried to integrate it into the main story by having these strike team missions where you can, you know, gain extra resources for multiplayer and I think for single player campaign as well. Yeah, just a load of rubbish. If any of you played, this is one of the criticisms I had of Deus Ex last year. You know, they just tacked on a multiplayer aspect because, well, we need a multiplayer aspect because why not? And I think that's more of an EA thing, you know, because all the rest of their big games have the multiplayer part, and unfortunately some publishers / developers still feel like single player experiences don't sell. Try telling that to CD Projekt Red and others, whoever developed Horizon. They did a really good job, and I don't know who it is off the top of my head, but there you go. So yeah, this game is, because of the time it's come out and because of the things you're going to compare it to, it's always going to have a slightly lower score, I feel, than perhaps maybe it deserves. Especially on Metacritic and stuff. The game's got a 74, I think, which is, well, very low for a Mass Effect game. I know I love the other 3 in the series, incredibly so. But it remains to be seen what sort of score it's going to get from me, or what decision I will eventually give it in the end. It will depend on how the story goes. I think that, you know, that can make or break a game. The gameplay mechanics are okay, and the other stuff around it is okay. So at the minute, you know, it probably stands at, you know, a 6 or a 7 for me at this moment in time. I'd say I'm only 5 hours in, 5-6 hours in. So we'll wait and see how the story progresses. If story really kicks on and, you know, it feels like the Mass Effect of old and it's got, you know, managed to carry on all the charm of that, then yeah, fair enough. I've enjoyed the characters so far as well. They're developing fairly nicely. There's no one that I hate, which is good at the minute. No one I particularly disagree with. But yeah, anyway, let me know what you guys think. I'll see you all very soon. Goodbye.